Welcome back to One Fair Review, everybody. I'm Grant, your host, as always. Today I want to have a quick talk. Now, I personally, right now, just got done watching the latest episode of LordEl-MelloiIICaseFiles. This has been going on for a few weeks. Not too sure how many weeks, to be honest. Let me quickly check that. 8 weeks, to be exact. LordEl-Melloi has been coming up for the past 8 weeks, every week, one episode. And there's going to end with 13 episodes, not 24. I'm a little bit disappointed, but hey, it's still good. So I have a question. Well, it's not a question, but I have something I wanted to talk about. I read somewhere, somebody put in the comments section a while back, that LordEl-MelloiCaseFiles is too confusing to enjoy. It's not one of those shows like a detective show. Obviously, it is a detective show, or series, but it's not like one of those detective shows where you can really follow along and figure it out as you go along. You know what I mean? When you you see clues, you see hints, and you're like, eureka, I've got it. Yeah, LordEl-Melloi really doesn't work that way, and there's a reason why. A majority of the deduction and the reasoning that Waver himself, or LordEl-Melloi II, does is mainly very heavily focused within the Nasu-verse, or the Fate universe, if you will. A lot of his deductions come from just knowledge that you should have about the Fate universe in general. And being somebody who's very, very familiar with the Fate universe, even at times, I'm not able to figure things out. Mainly because I'm not paying that close attention. I don't have a book of all the stuff that I've read and all the shows that I've watched to say like, yes, I figured it out before he did. No, usually he has to tell the audience about why he figured it out the way he did, and for some people that might not be fun because they're not able to deduct the mystery themselves. There was a great show that existed. It was called Columbo. It ran for many years. For those of you who don't know Columbo, allow me to give a rundown of it. It's a detective series, essentially. Each of the episodes was an hour long. It starred the very own detective Columbo, who's very famous. Now, throughout each episode, you pretty much know how the murder works or how the crime works, and then you're kind of there to see Columbo fix it, find the clues and all that. It's very interesting, and it's something that is easily followed. You can decide what is the evidence just by paying attention to the episodes or seeing what happens. It's very interesting. Like I said, you really can't do that in LordEl-MelloiCaseFiles, and this is what somebody said. This is what they put in the comments, that it's not that fun to watch because you really can't follow along and deduct each mystery yourself. Now, personally, I don't feel that way because I really love LordEl-MelloiCaseFiles. Of course, I am a huge fan of Fate, but even me, yeah, I can understand that. Sometimes I have trouble figuring out some things, and even when LordEl-Melloi says it, I have to think, okay, go back into my brain. Okay, there we go. Because it's not on the top of my mind. I'm thinking like, oh yes, this and Fate, I understand it. Even some of the characters, even though I see all the fan servicey characters in there, and really that's a lot of this show. A lot of it is fan service, and not necessarily in a sexy way, but if you're a fan of Fate, you'll like this show, or you'll find it entertaining. Although I do have to sympathize with that argument. I do have to sympathize and say, yes, it is true. You really can't follow along the cases. And really, if you're a first-time viewer, if this is your introduction to Fate, what the hell's the matter with you? First off, never get into Fate through this show. But if you've never watched a Fate, show or read the Nasu, anything from the Nasu-verse, it's going to be very hard to follow if you don't know how this world works, unfortunately. And I have to admit, yes, it is very true. Without knowledge of the expanding universe, LordEl-MelloiCaseFiles is just confusing as all hell. More so than Fate, Grand Order Absolute Demonic Front Babylonia. That's a great name, by the way. Thank you so much for coming up with that title. That being said, I am enjoying LordEl-MelloiCaseFiles quite a bit. It is a very entertaining show. Like I said, it's plenty of fan service. A lot of it is fan service. The mysteries are entertaining. I don't figure them out most of the time. I usually have to be explained by Waver himself. But, it is a very entertaining show. The characters are all enjoyable. It's a good sequel to Fate Zero. There's a lot of things I like about it. It is true, you really can't figure out the cases by yourself, and I do understand how some people can be annoyed by that, and I do understand that at this point, the Fate universe, I remember a long time ago somebody told me that at one point, the Nasu-verse and the Fate universe in general is going to be like comic books. to where it's so big, there's so much stuff involved, it's going to be overwhelming for people to get into. It's going to be too much to know about. And at the time, I really didn't know what he was talking about, but now I kind of do. And I want to know if you guys agree with my nameless friend's thoughts. Do you agree that it has come to that point where Fate is just so big and there's so much stuff? It is a little bit confusing to get into, especially if you have not gone into it already. I was one of the lucky ones. I got into it when Fate Zero was released already and Unlimited Blade Works was coming out, but that's besides the point. Of course, I was not there at the beginning. I just was taken on by the ride. Anyways, if you guys agree with what I'm talking about, write it down in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you think LordEl-MelloiIICaseFiles case files is hard to follow, even with the prior knowledge of the Fate universe? Tell me down below if it's confusing. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, even though you really shouldn't, because there's no quality in these videos whatsoever. As always, thank you for stopping by One Fair Review. I'm your host, Grant, signing off, and as always, have a nice day. Kimochi warui.